Makes for boring icons when just no one moves. All right, welcome to episode 162 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers. And joining me once again, Rachel.
Hi.
Chase.
Hello.
And Steven.
I'm cold.
Wow.
Yeah, I was up in that area not too long back last week, and yeah, no, it was cold, so I get you.
I too am also cold. It is why I am wearing a Snuggie backwards.
I'm having to finally use chapstick again because I guess I screwed up my lips while I was up there because it was so cold.
If you
I got
want the
back
next
and-
generation of Snuggie, look up Oodies. OODIE.
That sounds like a made-up word, but I'll look it up anyway.
All words are made up words.
Yeah,
As
you're
Thor
correct.
said.
It's like wrapping yourself around a pillow.
Oh,
Nice.
Fascinating.
Definitely. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump straight into what we've been doing just to kind of get everything going. So this week, let's start with Chase. What about you? What you been doing, man?
I've been playing Dynasty Warriors Origins. Been kind of hitting it heavy.
Still enjoying it, that seems.
Oh yeah. I decided to just take a small break from the Ninja Gaiden and Stalker just to like go straight into that one, and I've actually gotten to the point where I have to make a choice on who I'm actually going to like align myself with. So the story's getting good now. So it's actually it's quite well done. There's quite a few mechanics from this game that I hope find their way into mainline Dynasty Warriors games. So I think they're on a good path with what they've done.
Nice. That's cool. It's still one I want to give it a try, but I've just got so much other stuff going on. I haven't picked it up yet.
It's a good, yeah. It's kind of like it's almost, I'd equate it to like the Yakuza 0 of Dynasty Warriors. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that never played the Yakuza games. They played 0, and all of a sudden they were like, "Holy crap, this game's awesome!" And then they wanted to play the older ones. So I feel like Origins is going to do the same thing.
I want to play the Yakuza games, but it's just hard for me to figure out, one, where to start, and two,
0.
okay.
Start at 0.
But I guess I have to. The fun part is going to be finding these games. That's going to be the fun part.
No,
you can get all 6 from Video Games Plus right now for like $80. All 6 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
They sell bundles. We sell the bundles of all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just make sure if you're getting, so get 0, start with that one, but then make sure you're getting Kiwami 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's part of the bundle they do.
Oh, it is? Okay, that's
They
good.
do 0,
Video
Kiwami 1 and 2, and then they do 3, 4, 5, 6. But then it gets complicated after that because then it's renamed Like a Dragon. So then there's, we'll go into it another day. But
yeah,
we'll get you a timeline.
We'll wait until you're almost done with 6, and then we'll tell you about 7, 8, 9, 10, and the offshoot.
Is this videogamesplus.ca? Is that what I'm looking at for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good site.
Because also if you like Yakuza and you want it mixed with Phoenix Wright, there's the 2 Judgment games that came out too.
Yep.
So if you want Phoenix Wright with punching people.
With the Dynasty Warriors games, I've played some older ones and kind of messed around with them on different systems, but I think we talked about this before. I always lean more into like the Dynasty Warriors, like Gundam or Hyrule Warriors, or like for some reason I've always enjoyed those. But
the Warriors, the Warriors gameplay actually does fit really well with like licensed, like other licenses.
They've done it a lot.
Yeah, especially with like if it makes sense, it has to make sense though. So like Gundam makes sense because that was like a series that was based on like this interstellar war, and then and then like Hyrule Warriors is a bit of a stretch, but it actually still fits surprisingly well. So
they should do a Smurfs one where you're Gargamel.
God.
Wow.
Verse, it'd be play the villain and kill all the good guys. God, I could see that too. That'd be terrifying. All right. Well, since Rachel's back on the internet looking stuff up right now because we keep sidetracking her, we'll move on to Steven. Steven, what you been doing?
I've been just logging into Multiverse to pick at its carcass every week because they're offering these last few skins that you have to play for a chance to get the skin every day. You get 5 chances per day. It's just to keep you playing. It's not to make you spend money because you can't. And then I've been playing ZZZ, which now has a fishing game in it. Which
Nice.
I'm going to mention something about the fishing game, which goes into my other game I'm playing as well. A annoyance that I'm really mad about, and I'm glad I could turn it off. But anyway, I'm starting. Well, I'm not starting. I'm well into game number 3. Running out of time, but game number 3 of 4 in February. Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm into right now. I'm really enjoying it because most of the remakes, yes, they changed from the original, but that makes it so you can play the originals and these and get 2 separate experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So I like how they changed the beginning from the original to make it a slightly different story. Little things like that. I do miss kicking open doors, because that's gone. However, there is a point in, and this is strictly a PS5 problem, but there's a point in Resident Evil 4 Remake and in ZZZ which are so overblown, overused, and annoying, and that is the controller speaker. In ZZZ, when you're fishing, every pull of the fishing line makes all these splashing, really loud splashing noises on your controller until you've caught the fish. So it's just, there's no really sound coming out from the TV that's that loud, but the controller sounds like you're bobbing for apples.
Got to kill that battery somehow faster.
And I'm like, oh, there's no option to turn it off in ZZZ. Resident Evil 4, however, thank God, has a controller speaker on and off option, because with theirs, every time you reload, every time you aim, every time you shoot, every time you move something in your attaché case makes a sound on the controller that's a loud click or a loud chunk or a loud clip. And I'm like, stop.
Wow.
I want to hear the game do that, not my controller. I didn't mind when you get the radio calls, but I was like, everything else has got to go. I shouldn't have to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been, even back like with the Wii when they started this, it was very hit or miss on games that would use audio from the controller. I still think one of my favorite uses, there's a couple games where it would call you and you'd put the Wii remote up and like you'd hear the conversation. Like that was
literally
neat.
The calling was like that. Yeah.
Right. Like that was kind of neat, but when they would just kind of go overboard with it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is every time. And it just, I was just like, it's just distracting me from like, or, immersing me for something like Resident Evil. So I was like, Resident Evil's gotta have an option to turn it off. And thankfully it did. Cause I was just like, what are you doing? Yeah. Cause I remember the good old days when it's like the light on the controller would mean your health. And I'm like, that's cool.
The Dreamcast, I loved you would have your actual life, your little heartbeat and stuff on the VMUs, things like that were
fine.
great.
It was just like, what are you guys doing? And I was like, it reminded me of some of the earlier Switch games when they're like, how do we use the rumble? We turn it all the way up. So the Joy-Cons just vibrate and sound stupid while you're trying to play a video game.
Yeah, you could tell which ones just went with general rumble versus who actually used the HD
the early
rumble
games
in some way.
Like the early, I'm going to say it, yes, the early Hyrule Warriors, you would hit stuff and it would just vibrate like it was ready to take off.
Yeah. So, all right. Rachel, what about you? What you been up to?
Oh man. I have been consuming a lot of physical media. Reading books. I'm going through a lot of my like physical movie collection, and like DVDs and all of that kind of stuff. Just cause I was like, oh man, I have all this stuff. I should watch it,
Mm-hmm.
And so in the last like week or so, I have watched movie-wise. I watched Earthsea, the sci-fi one, the one that was like a sci-fi movie. It's got did you guys watch Warehouse 13?
Oh God, yes. I love that series.
Okay, you remember the guy in it that gets resurrected by the metronome?
Mm-hmm.
Claudia's friend. Well, he's in it, or his twin brother. Unsure, because they're twins.
Yeah.
So he's in it as like the main guy, Ged. So I watched that today. A couple days ago, I got into a discussion in another Discord that I'm in, because this guy in there went to, I guess, a con and met Ron Perlman and made him laugh by saying "I loved you" in Bunraku, and and I don't know if you guys watched ever watched the movie Bunraku. But it's got like some really like big name people in it. It's got Demi Moore, it's got Ron Perlman, it's got Josh Hartnett, it's got Woody Harrelson, I believe. It's the one doctor guy from Grey's Anatomy that's obviously he speaks with a like American accent in the show, but he's actually from Scotland. That guy, he's in it. And then it's also got one of my favorite like rock singers from Japan in it, as he plays like a guy by the name of Yoshi, and in the movie he eats literally a whole handful of wasabi. You think I'm joking? It's not fake. He literally, while filming, took a handful of wasabi and put it in his mouth and ate it.
He regretted that, I'm sure.
Insane, man. Insane. But I watched that the other day because I had totally forgotten about that movie almost entirely. And it was just as strange as the first time I watched it. And it was also longer than I thought I remember it being. So that was interesting. And then I watched My Neighbor Totoro, the Fox Family Edition, which is different than the Disney dub, and I think it is better than the Disney dub, and this is the hill I will likely die on. But I did that.
Rachel has opinions? Holy shit.
I know. Holy crap, right? And then I started I have like the complete series collection of the show Dexter, and I don't know if you guys ever watched Dexter.
You don't need to finish it, but enjoy it otherwise.
Yeah, because there's that prequel coming out, or it is out.
Prequel/sequel, yeah.
It was a prequel because they did that one sequel series where he was a lumberjack, and that's all I'll say.
Well, they're also bringing back It's Always Sunny, so that's good.
You know what? What's old is new, guys.
I need to watch that show.
Let's just bring everything back. We need something to occupy our brains and our time.
I've actually never seen It's Sunny in Philadelphia.
Well, I'm prepared to watch it. It's just like I have to get to it.
It's a good time sink, I'll tell you that. And then also the Buffy spinoff, Angel, which some people argued in some ways was better, but
didn't that abruptly end without a conclusion?
I don't remember. It's been years since I watched it, but I got like the complete series collection for like $20 at a estate sale. So I can't.
I think if I had the choice, I'd go for Supernatural over Angel.
I mean, I own both of them on DVD, so I can watch either of them anytime I want.
That's a show you should try it, Rich. If you've never heard of it, it's Supernatural.
Yeah, I mean, wow, I've never heard of it
before. Because I heard they finally convinced her with a good story, so Buffy's coming back as well to Hulu.
Yes, I saw that, and I was just like, you know what? All is right. All has to be right with the world now.
She said going to be because she was like, "How would you continue it?" And then somebody finally came up with a good idea, and she's just like, "Son of a bitch, I'm in."
Yeah, it's either going to be great or it's going to be an absolute mess cash-in. It can go either way.
Oh no! We'll I mean, listen. Let me tell you, an actress like that is not going to agree to something unless it is good. There are other actors out there that are also waiting for good scripts for continuations. I'll say that, but yeah, no, I'm excited for that because I remember watching Buffy growing up, and it was a good time. I'm still working on my third game of the 4 in February. I don't know if I'm actually gonna complete the 4 in February. We'll see. And then last night I started streaming Kingdom Hearts on my Twitch channel. Shocker.
Well, channel was immediately taken down.
No, actually, it was fine. They only mute the parts that have music that they can actively hear. And it's like I think I had like maybe less than a minute of my video muted, and I also made a point to keep the audio of the game very low, because I knew that kind of stuff would happen. But in the first Kingdom Hearts game, there's no way to turn down the music because I would just mute the music and leave everything else. Like which is kind of sad because part of the whole charm of Kingdom Hearts is the really good music. So there's that, but there's no way to turn the audio down in the first game. No way. They did not program it to do so. Now the newer games, I believe there is a way to turn down the music a little bit, but not a lot. So unsure. We'll update as that develops.
Maybe
so
they'll fix it for the inevitable Switch 2 ports.
We'll see. But yeah, no, just consuming a lot of physical media. I went to a meetup today with some friends, so that was kind of fun. And other than that, I'm just working. Next week, I go to the Bay Area Renaissance Fair Festival. So I'm not sure if I will be here next week. It's
starting off March without you.
Listen, Ren fairs or Ren Fair days are a long day, and I have to drive all the way to basically Tampa for it.
No, we got you. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, speaking of books, for Chris's birthday, which was on the 13th, as well as taking him to a cheese house finally this week, where he can get some.
Back up. A cheese house?
Yeah, it's basically a guy who runs, like, he gets all these cheeses that are like 5, 10, 15 years old. He gets all these types of cheeses from all these local suppliers. Like, he's very local. He's got a nurse who quit her job because now she makes sourdough bread full time because everybody wants it, because she either makes regular sourdough bread, makes sourdough cookies, which he said will change your life. And she also makes sourdough bread infused with cheese curds. And I was just like, that's the Midwest. That sounds amazing.
My God.
What a job change.
Beyond that, I found a book that I was just like, I think he'll read this one because this one sounds really, really funny. It's a book called Path to Villainy.
Okay.
An NPC, Kobold's Tale. And the story is, this Kobold has been an NPC in this game for countless playthroughs of heroes and such, going through their quests, making fun of them, taking advantage of them. And one day the NPC becomes self-aware. And now he has all these memories flowing back into him of how he's treated by all these heroes. So now he wants revenge. He wants to kill them all.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that sounds amazing.
That does sound very entertaining.
Good God. All right. So I'll finish up with what I've been doing. To start off, I am still addicted in playing a bunch of Balatro. Damn it, Remy. Every time he comes over, we end up sitting here for a good couple of hours going through runs on it, and usually either getting a higher score or finishing a few of the runs, and just laughing about that. So it's always fun when he comes over. But getting that on Switch, I guess, is probably the best case scenario, because if I bought this on my phone, we probably wouldn't be doing the show. I'd be like, I'm busy right now. Like, give me a second.
Well, at least you're honest about it.
Yeah. Also, get Balatro. It's fantastic. Next up, I finally purchased and started playing Avowed that I've been waiting for a while. Yeah, Steven, you can get all pissy about it, but I really like it. It has been what I wanted it to be. It is really tough. Like, you can get your ass whooped if you do not pay attention. But I've gone through the opening island, got to the mainland, was kind of messing around with it, met up with my first companion and kind of messing around with that. I'm liking the mechanics. I like how you can swap between the different setups of items and so forth. So I can be, a mace and a shield, and then switch between that and like magic using, or if I set it up, I can switch between that and bow and arrow or whatever I want really quickly. But they don't restrict you on what weapon sets you use depending on how your character's built. So you can build up and try different things. So it's really nice to kind of experiment, but you also kind of tend towards picking certain stuff for each run and kind of, designing around that. And I'm sure I'll go back, build a different type of character and try it differently. Because once again, being an Obsidian game, the conversations are really good. And depending on how your character's made, you get new options that show up in the conversations. You can kind of try different things and steer it around. So as much as Steven hates it, I'm enjoying it. That's what all the give a shit's about me, because I paid for it.
You're money.
It is, and I don't feel like I wasted it, which is the most important thing for gaming, I think. So I welcome Steven's, pissiness about it. But
one man's trash is another man's treasure. That's all I'll say.
I know. I'm just curious though, because it is on Game Pass. Are you gonna at least like just mess around with it and give it a shot? Because they fixed like the combat feels weighty. There is actual impact in a lot of things to stuff now. It's not just like, I love the fact when you charge your attack, you'll start like swinging your mace, getting ready to like just really slam it down on someone's head, and you can kind of jump around and do stuff, which is cool.
I still don't know. Like, it reminded me the day it came out. It did a pop-up ad saying like, download it today. I was like, but then I have to delete something. Yeah, a lot of the impressions and comparison videos have not been kind, so it's kind of steering me away from it.
It's gotten pretty good reviews, and I'm just saying I'm really enjoying it. I'm liking what I see and how everything's playing it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, because
I'm playing it on Series X, and I'm doing quality mode because it's fairly consistent at 30. The world looks really nice. Ray tracing has actually been kind of good for like reflections and things like that, and it's a single player game, so I'm not worried about competitive speeds and everything. I just want it to play and be fun. I have a feeling I'm gonna have fun exploring the different environments, because even the smaller self-contained instead of one giant open world are still really well sized. There's still a lot of places to get to. I love how it looks when you go underwater. Like, they do a really good job with like the caustics and the way the light bounces around under the water. I was like, this is kind of neat. So I don't know. I'm going to explore and continue from there and see what happens. But I'm curious if you ever do give it a shot. Even if it's something you don't like, I'm just curious to get your thoughts on it. Same thing with you, Chase. I didn't know if that'd be something you would pick up and give it a shot, or at least mess around with at some point. So
maybe we'll see. I'm not sure.
It's all good.
I like that you can play a clicker from The Last of Us, though. Cool.
Yeah. Oh my God. Some of that stuff gets ridiculous. You can turn that all off, by the way. People will still react because it's called your God touch. It's kind of like, if one of the gods touches you before you were born or does something.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It sounds terrible, doesn't it?
Show me on the doll.
Where the God touched you.
Like, what's wrong with you? God touched me when I was little.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
Wow. I can't
He
believe you just
said
said
it
that.
first.
That's a statement the church is probably like, we don't need to be saying that.
I just put it in layman's terms. Don't kill the messenger.
Oh Lord.
But you can turn that stuff off and look like a normal character. I left some of it on because I like some of the kind of like the cheek scars and the way the setup is. But I didn't do like the crazy plant stuff growing out of my head. I was like, I can leave that off. And people will still react to you like you have it, and they'll kind of talk about it, but you don't have to make your character look like it. Character building was kind of fun. It's more structured around the face and general body design. It's not like some of them where you can go down and be like, I want the pinky to be a little bit longer, and it's not that. There's some limits to it.
I do know if you like the lore, Critical Role just did a one shot, which I thought was neat.
Nice. I'm hoping as I learn the world, I might be able to take a look at some of the older games that covered this, and I guess there's also books.
Because like if you ever have time to spare, Critical Role has done one shots of Tears of the Kingdom, Mortal Kombat 1, and now they did Avowed, and I was like, it's cool that, and they did a Diablo 4 one as well.
Yeah,
I have those saved for when I just have 3 to 4 hours to spare.
Nice. What were you gonna say, Chase?
Yeah, because I think it's set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Which I've heard of, but I'm not as familiar. So I'm kind of taking this as a way to maybe explore it a little bit more, and see how that works. It's almost like Skyrim. You get into it and like, yeah, there's a whole, history and world that you can kind of explore through that of like Tamriel and all that stuff. So something similar. Next up, I finally got to watch Wicked. Amanda and I got to watch it the other night, and I really enjoyed that. It's a really good movie. But she let Jennifer watch it while I was gone, because we talked about maybe letting her see it before. Mm-hmm. So while I was out of town for work, she tried to watch it with Jen, and Amanda gave up. She couldn't watch it because Jennifer would not quit singing and dancing in front of the TV, and she just let her enjoy it. It doesn't help that we also have the 4K version that has the sing-along mode. So all the lyrics come up in like bright, colorful words on the screen. But she really likes it. And So Jen we're kind of wanting to introduce her to more musicals. We've been looking into. Amanda specifically wants to show her Phantom of the Opera.
God, I love that musical.
Yeah, Steven reminded me of the fact of Popeye, which is a movie I used to love as a kid, and even I ended up ordering the Blu-ray of it so we can watch that. I had it on VHS, but this just seems way easier. And then we're looking at a couple other ones as well. And I talked to you guys before the show about suggestions. We had a pretty good list. I'm going to have to go hunt down for movies.
If you can find it, it's impossible. I have it on VHS. It's The Adventures of Mumphy. And it's about a little
Mumphy?
Mumphy, Mumfie. It's a show over in the UK. I have it on VHS, or one of them, and it's about a little white elephant who goes on an adventure with his friend the Scarecrow, and it's adorable.
So I'll have to look that up. But yeah, Jennifer, she's taken to Wicked really well. So when the second half of it comes out, we're going to take her to the theater to see it.
Something has changed within her.
Say what?
Something has changed within her.
Amanda's told me every day since she watched it, when she drives her to school in the morning, she takes her phone and she starts playing Defying Gravity from the movie, singing it. So yeah, this has kind of caught on with her a lot.
We'll talk a little bit about part 2 off the air.
Okay. I'm curious to see it. Like, Amanda had read the book. She really enjoyed it. I bought it 4 years back. I hadn't read it. I don't read as much as I used to anymore.
It is definitely not for kids.
Yeah,
the book
essentially,
is.
the end of the first Wicked is the intermission in the show.
Gotcha.
So they knew where to cut it, which was perfect.
I did really like the cameo of the 2 original stars. I thought they had a really nice, because I had heard there was a cameo and I thought it would be like a quick, oh, here they are. No, they gave them a whole musical number in a really funny way.
There's actually visual Wizard of Oz Easter eggs too.
Straight up, you see them at one point.
People stand, sit, move, and what they say, and what they wear. There's a lot of hidden stuff, which is nice.
I want to watch some breakdowns.
That library scene was 100% practical to the point where they would not insure the guy who had to walk through while singing Dancing Through Life. They were like, we're not covering you. He's like, I'll make it fine.
Yeah,
I'll die for my art. I don't care.
Everybody had to be pinpoint perfect, otherwise they get crushed. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Amanda was like, make me a library like that. And I was like, it's
and then
just
when
not even practical.
They grew 1 million tulips. That was not CGI. That was real flowers all over the place. And I was like,
holy crap.
That's insane, dude. That's good practical effects.
That's a lot of tulips. So, next up, I ordered and got my Summer Cart 64, which is a new multi-cart for the Nintendo 64. The nice thing about this one is faster than some of the previous ones that were made, but it also has better support hardware-wise for the Nintendo 64 disk drive. So I've never got to play a lot of those other than maybe messing with them in emulation sometimes. But now I can play these games on the 64 itself, and I acquired some versions of some of the games that have been translated to English for the most part. The biggest one I wanted to play, and I messed with it for hours on Friday, is SimCity 64. That game is really fun. I love the fact, at any time you can kind of zoom in and out the camera, but if you keep zooming in wherever your icon's at, you just drop down in first person and you're walking around the city you've built with all the animations being represented by little 3-dimensional, cars and 2D moving people, and you're seeing cranes building it up. And yeah, it's limited because it's a 64, but it's still really impressive as a SimCity nut from back then.
How was Waluigi's taco stand?
So that's the other one. I had gotten a hold of the ROM dump for that, or somebody had made it, and I was like, this sounds so stupid, I want to try it. It's a Mario 64 variation where you start as Waluigi, which is really funny because they even do the Camelot opening, from the games, where it's like, Camelot, I don't know why they added that. But apparently he gets in trouble financially because of gambling, and you have to run a taco shop for somebody. And I tried playing the first level where you're jumping around to get the ingredients to make the orders, and It was terrible, but I tried it. And I was like, well, this lets me do this. I will not do this again. I'm probably going to be trying the F-Zero X, the expansion pack for that lets me make the tracks and cars. That's been translated to English. And then all 4 parts of the Mario paint that they did for
Artist
64
series?
Disc Drive Artist Series, those were translated in English as well. So I'm going to mess with those and see what kind of weirdness I can do, including trying to make weird characters of all of us, because I can use the Game Boy camera to capture our faces.
Oh my gosh.
And just see what kind of ridiculous things I can make.
That is funny.
Yeah. And then last is a little bit of an update on the game room. I put up more shelves last night. I was up until like 4:00 in the morning doing that. But I've now added to the rest of my list all of my PS3, PS4, GameCube, and Wii games are up on the wall already, along with, all the Xbox versions or Series X, Xbox One, PS5, the Switch, the Wii U, and some other things. So that wall's about full. I think I can only put a few more shelves and I'm like to the floor, done.
To the floor.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up having to use another wall, which is gonna suck. I don't have to move my shelves.
Yay, walls.
Yeah, I've only got so many of them. But I ordered something called an Extron Crosspoint, which I've been looking into, and it's kind of ridiculous, but it's an 8 input, 8 output, basically analog matrix.
Looks like it's from a sound studio.
They basically are. It's BNC. It's professional level equipment.
Scary
looking. So I can have up to 8 systems plugged into it in whatever format I adapt to it, as long as it goes to BNC. And then I can send that out to any 8 outputs, which, I can mix between different video formats, but it also means I can send stuff to my CRT while also sending it to like my RetroTink 4K and everything at the same time. So I'll be able to actually play and stream like light gun games now, and be playing Time Crisis or Duck Hunt or whatever while being able to stream it, which is kind of neat. Or I can be playing a game on the TV through like my 64, but then Jennifer can be playing on my NES on the CRT at the same time, because you can mix and match however you want. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to take a little bit of wiring work because I have to make the audio adapters and then also adapt over some of my connectors to BNC. But thankfully I have an engineering degree and I can just make the shit. So I don't have to order it. I'll just do it my damn self. So we'll see how that goes as I upgrade everything.
Oh my God.
Rachel's got bored and started playing music.
I didn't actually. My phone went off. I'm like, no phone calls, please.
That's funny. That's a good break point.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into the group chat because we got a few things there.
Jinkies.
Chase and Steven,
Zoinks.
we'll start you guys off with yours. So go ahead.
This one was a little bit different from the other missions we had been doing because we had to take our time a little bit more. This was the first one we had to restart because they're getting more aggressive.
Aggressive. Wow.
We did successfully split up as we always do.
Which game is this?
Sniper Elite Resistance.
Okay, cool.
We're on the 3rd mission. This was what? It was like the docks, right? Kind of.
Yeah, it was like a train yard next to the
Train yard
docks.
/ docks, yeah.
Like a warehouse and stuff. Yeah, it was. The enemy AI was definitely getting a lot more like, what's going on? Like, what's happening over there? It was just like,
yeah, there was times we just had to sit and wait for a while because I was like, it just needs to blow down, just needs to just like get down.
somebody
and
would
back to
get
business
shot
and
and
get away
everybody
from
was
us.
like running around. There wasn't a lot of typically in Sniper Elite missions, like especially like 3, 4, even 5, they typically give you like some intermittent sound that's going to happen periodically. So like even in the 2nd mission, you had the church bell that rang like every so often, and then in like other games like 4 or 5, they would have like a plane flying overhead. Just like every so often, there'd be a plane that'd fly overhead.
When they wanted you to make them all yourself by ruining the cars and stuff.
Yeah, this one they were like, "You're getting no sound." It's like, oh, okay. So
Every
What they
shot's going to
did
draw
have-
attention.
What they did have though is a lot of the areas that gave you good sniping spots had
a generator,
the Victrola playing music, and it said if there's a thin line, that means they're harder of hearing you. So if you have a silenced gun, they definitely won't know where it's coming from. So I was just like, okay, that's something new, because it reminded me of it, and I was like, what is this doing on? And they're like, don't turn it off. It helps mask. I was like, okay, this is the only mask we're getting. Okay.
Or a car. Like if you found like a car or a truck, you could like sabotage the engine so it'd start
I
backfiring.
like them to explode, so I didn't let anybody drive on the roads.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, after that, we also, Chase, Steven, and I last week got into some Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies again, because we hadn't played in a while and decided to dive right in. And that was hectic. We kept trying to get through those missions to actually complete some of the stuff in the game.
Our very first exfiltrate successful.
We had exfiltrated before, but it's the first time
I don't remember ever being successful.
I think we got out once.
I think we've been successful one other time.
I don't remember. I always remember the Mega Man guy just punching our helicopter and we all die.
Yeah. Because I do remember we've made it at least once or twice, but this was the first time we actually went through and were doing the mission in the level, like having to. Dear God, we kept dying trying to get the water valve in the damn bowling alley just to put it together and start, build
I didn't know it was like it what do you call it? It was basically like a spawner for monsters. So as long as you're turning it, we're going to spawn tons of zombies. I'm like, okay.
And was it just me or they're tougher?
Yeah.
Like they were like bullet sponged. Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot of the armored variants. Yeah.
On a side note, though, I was really happy that Activision paid for the Ninja Wrap for adding the Ninja Turtles into Call of Duty.
They could afford it because to get all 4 turtles is like $90, which immediately put the brakes on it for me. I was like, they look great. I love the fact that when you use them in zombie mode, you can then have, instead of zombies, you've got busted up and broken foot soldiers that are coming out in swarms. I was like,
that needs to be its own mode where you just fight nothing but foot soldiers and you're the 4 turtles and that's it.
I just wonder, like, what could they use to replace for, like, the little spider crab things, like, and some of the other stuff.
Spider crab or Mausers?
Yeah, they could do Mausers. You could do the little Krangs themselves.
The Krangs, I think they should make like the bigger enemies, like the one that comes after us and always breaks our helicopter. So no, there's definitely plenty to do.
Yeah, they could do a pretty good amount with that.
The armored ones can be those rock characters.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So they have everything they need for a zombies mode. Make it happen, Activision.
You could exfiltrate through the blimp, fly off in the blimp,
or just get in the Turtle van.
Get out, drive. Oh, that's fantastic.
I want the Pentagon map to come back from Black Ops 2, was it? Yeah, I think it was Black Ops 2. Oh,
yeah, that was a good one.
Black Ops 2.
Was that the one where you could play as, like, JFK?
You played as JFK, Nixon, and, like, I can't remember the other two.
Cool zombies back then where you played as all the horror icons. Like, you played as Machete, you played as Buffy, you played as George Romero was the boss.
I love the fact that people are complaining about Ninja Turtles, like, oh, why are we getting this trash? This should be a realistic military shooter. I was like, have you seen Call of Duty? That is not realistic
you've
at
got
all.
Terminator, Skeletor, and Nicki Minaj. Shut up.
I quite literally, I remember one of my friends like telling me about Machete, and I literally was like, I mean, I know who Machete is, and I know the lore behind him, and I was just like, cool, Spy Kids uncle.
Yeah, the fact that that's where that started still trips me out.
Just...
between that and it was a fake movie trailer in a Tarantino film, and they were just like, yeah, let's make it for real, and they actually did it.
Yeah, they made 2 movies out of it. They made Thanksgiving as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know, the
Black Ops 6 zombies thing, I might get the turtles eventually because I do really like how they look, but I hate the fact that I think all of us have to buy it in order to play it, which is my other thing. Like if I end up buying it, are you guys going to be able to join and see that, or is it just going to be
update? Say
what?
That seems kind of weird because then like millions of players playing and they all have to own it.
Yeah, that's why I want to look in and see. It's just that cost really like that's more than a game now. Like getting an entire game just to get 4 skins in a possible like visual
Speaking
mode.
to somebody who spent over $100 on ZZZ, it's okay.
I buckled down and got the $90 edition of Avowed.
See,
so I wanted the soundtrack in the art book. It looked really cool. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and dive into our news. All right. So to start us off this week, Nintendo is making changes to their Gold Points and Game Voucher programs kind of out of the blue. So My Nintendo Gold Points will be discontinued on March 24th. So digital purchases will no longer earn a percentage towards Gold Points, and pre-orders will not either. And then physical titles, you won't be able to, after a while of playing them, be able to claim coins as well. You can do that till the 24th, but I don't know what else they're going to be offering, because that's part of why I haven't cared to do it in a while, is Nintendo got kind of lazy with the rewards. It's like, oh, well, here's some phone wallpapers or stuff like that.
Yeah, but gold was only towards games. It wasn't towards anything physical.
Okay, I think it was the platinum ones that were the towards the
platinum ones. You still do the you can do the play an online game every week, download the demos, stuff like that to get platinum points.
Gotcha.
It just, I just think that, and they kind of do this with every single console that they put out. Like they take away something and then give us something else.
Well, they've had the Gold Points for a while. That's what I'm
saying. Like it's a brand new system. It's a new thing. They're doing something wholly
hopefully, because this gold's been around since what, DS, 3DS? Like it's been a while. Like the Wii, I think.
It's time for them to do something different.
We're gonna get achievements.
Listen,
I really.
What if we are though? What if we are?
Beat Mario Odyssey without dying.
I think achievements are a bad thing in games, because everyone's like, oh, I get this virtual point that can rally up. But you also lost, like, developers can't put cheat codes and other fun little things in there because it either becomes DLC or they don't want it to mess with the achievements.
There's developers who had the mindset that if you enable cheat codes, it says achievements will be turned off.
They finally started doing that, but for a long time, like when they first started doing achievements, they just quit doing cheat codes at all. It was like,
it's the making it a requirement, which I thought was horrible.
Yeah. I'm okay with the game having built-in achievements. Like that's been fine.
Because some people were like, "This is wasting our time," so they'd be like, beat level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9."
Yeah. The other thing, though, is the Game Voucher program has been updated to state that it will not work for titles exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 system. So you can still use it on Switch 1 titles, or apparently there's going to be, of course, all of them are compatible, but Switch 1 and 2. But if it's just made for the Switch 2, you can no longer use those vouchers, which some people are thinking may be a sign that the game costs are going to go up. So we might start seeing, $70 Nintendo Switch 2 games, which would kind of suck. I like the fact that they're usually cheaper on the Switch sometimes.
Playing Grand Theft Auto 6, because everybody said they would pay $90 to $100, no problem.
I would not.
I think that'll be I did not buy any of the, I don't think I've bought a Grand Theft Auto since GTA 3 or Vice City.
I bought all of them.
I bought each one for $20, so I was like, that's how it's going to keep going.
I bought GTA 5 on the 360, then again on the Xbox One, and then again on the Series X.
I'll get this one.
Yeah, I own 4 copies of GTA 5, and I've never played it.
I will buy this one because it is based in
Florida.
Yeah.
I'm all in on that one. Rachel and I both. Just to be like, let's see how close to the insanity you get. So do we think there's going to be like a new rewards program or voucher system implemented with the Switch 2? Maybe they'll...
I think so.
Yes, but not right away.
Okay. So Rachel thinks there will be one. Steven thinks there'll be one, but not right away. Chase just kind of shook his head yes.
I'm with Steven on this. I think that maybe it'll be like there, but they're not gonna unlock it and put it to where people can get to it until they know what their player base is gonna be. Maybe until they have a certain number of users. Like, hey, okay, here we go. This is what you can do.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, like, I know we keep putting like, oh, we'll find out in April, and it's like so much stuff has been stacked on that one direct.
It's gonna be the most watched direct in a long time.
Yeah, watch them be like, this is gonna be like a 15-minute direct. And we're like, well, we're not getting answers for shit. Like,
let's show off the newest trailer of Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Switch 2 edition. Oh, that would be great.
The game already has issues. I don't want to see another trailer.
Well, Donkey Kong Returns HD plus Funky Kong. You know that's what we're gonna get.
They need to patch it to fix the co-op issue.
I haven't played it in co-op. What's the problem?
There's no hitbox after the first player hits an enemy. Mm-hmm. In the original one for Wii, you could both hit the same enemy to jump off of it.
Yeah.
And the 3DS version, they never fixed that. But then since they basically took the 3DS build, the Switch version has the same hitbox problem. So they said co-op's impossible.
Oh, God. I haven't played it co-op yet, so that's why I haven't noticed. That's terrible. Okay.
So I was like, well, at least I don't really play that co-op, but I was like, some people do.
Well, that leads perfectly into our next news story then. So Nintendo has renewed the Nintendo Seal of Quality trademark in Japan. Initially this was intended as a way to show that a game cart was produced with carts made by Nintendo, not as a symbol of quality, air quotes, of a game, which is why we still get issues like that apparent Donkey Kong Country Returns HD glitch. This also appears to be mixed with a lot of other trademarks that have been either created recently, like for Switch 2 logos, name, things like that, or renewed from over the different decades. Like I saw stuff from Splatoon they redid, Animal Crossing, a couple different things for like shirts and other stuff. So that means a lot of this could just be coming back as either continued ownership, marketing, clothing, things like that.
Yeah, just be on the Nintendo World clothing thing. Seal of quality. It's made from good cotton.
I was about to say the pin set that I was showing off earlier that I bought, the Kirby ones, have the little gold Nintendo quality logo, or they're not really quality, but
even the shirts do. You have to take the little sticker off.
Yeah, it's the licensed product. That's what it is. But it's the same general shape and design.
Yeah.
So, everyone's like, oh, this will be, going back to the quality stuff. I was like, yeah, that was never really...
has also renewed the Eternal Darkness trademark like 4 times. So I'm not taking their trademarks into account.
I'm not either. I just thought it was interesting. People just freaking out about this. Like, oh, it's a good sign. They're going to be changing how the eShop works and how this and that, and their games will be better. And it's like, it was never about that, guys. You just wished it to be.
It's just literally like I had to explain that to someone once at GameStop was we were talking about like that, and they said, well, why is this thing on this cartridge? And I said, that's because that's a Nintendo made cartridge. It's not like an aftermarket or a reproduction. And
it's made with their parts.
Like it's made with it's literally legit Nintendo thing.
Yeah.
Which means that you've got a legit copy. And I mean, the only reason that they like maybe go back to that, like bringing that back, other than what you said, is maybe they're gonna start, doing their own parts again. Like, I don't know why.
They kind of already were. They're still doing the cartridges and stuff. But like this was like back in the NES, people would see like the Tengen or the Camerica, like cartridges like that, the third-party ones that people were making that got around the lockout chip. Yeah, they couldn't legally have it on there. So it was just to say, hey, this is legit part of that. And you see that for a lot of companies.
Because PlayStation and Xbox have their holograms on theirs saying tested or for use with PlayStation, Xbox. So they have theirs as well. So I don't know why people are like, oh, going crazy.
Yeah, it's people just overreacting. I just thought it was kind of funny. So I just wanted to mention it. All right, let's go on to our next little bit of news into comic books. So Marvel and DC seem to be heading towards a new crossover event that is set to release later this year, which they've had variations of them before. But I'm very curious if they're going to mention a character they made called Access, which is actually owned by both Marvel and DC. It's one character they both own the rights to.
Interesting.
Because he was made as a character that originally, like when they did the Marvel versus DC crossover, they accidentally merged them and created what was called the Amalgam Universe, which is a series I have every issue from. And I love the idea behind it. Basically, they took all these different characters from both sides and just smashed them together. sometimes, characters could be used in multiple places or there'd be different combinations of them. They were all super weird, but kind of fun. The weirdest one is still Darkclaw to me. Like, who in God's name thought mixing Batman and Wolverine would make sense? The character's amazing, but this does not seem like it would fit. I will give them points, though, that they mix Sabretooth and the Joker together to make the Hyena. And it actually works. I gotta give them that. Another favorite was the Flash and Ghost Rider that they mixed together and called Speed Demon. Great design. It was basically just like the original Ghost Rider in more of a red leather suit that was running around at super speed on fire.
I think the one thing I hated the worst
is interesting
about some of the amalgam characters was not even any of the amalgams. It was the fact that they had these like celestial living tribunals, and one was Marvel colored and one was DC colored, and I was like, shut up.
Yeah, that was weird. That was kind of funny. It was
like, if these two Transformers touch, the universe shall change. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and Access was made to be the character that could go between the universes. So they had the crossovers, then they had Amalgam, and then he separated it out, and there was a short series called Access that he was in that had like Jubilee bringing over to the DC side to visit with Robin, or just all kinds of weird stuff.
Just give the crossover event to Capcom, and I'll be happy as shit.
Yeah, that's a better one. I have no idea where this is going to go. It was pretty corny and kind of funny in the last time, and I will probably read these. But it's at least neat to see Marvel and DC kind of doing this, which could also just be desperation because comic book sales are in general down. So who knows? Is anyone else actually interested in reading these, or is it just me for the pure weirdness of it?
I need to hear more first.
Okay. Chase, what about you?
If I see Darkclaw Returns, I'm turning around.
I'll be going right in. I'm diving in no matter what.
I'll probably watch like some YouTube videos and see what the general consensus is before I jump into it.
Makes sense. I'm trying to remember some of the other weird combinations they had. They had one of them that they mixed three characters together. They had Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate, and Professor X were merged into one called Doctor Strange Fate. They had, what was it? Superboy, the clone one, mixed with Spider-Man. And then they also had a Captain America and Superman combination where like Superman crashed on the planet as a baby, but didn't live, but they used his genetic materials to make a super soldier serum that they gave to, the guy that later became Captain America. And then his shield is actually shaped like the Superman S that they took from the ship. And
so we have stuff like Amazon, which was Wonder Woman and Storm.
Mm-hmm. I was going to mention that one.
Icebreaker, which was Iceman and Aquaman.
That was a weird one. Yeah.
It was Doctor Strange Fate, Speed Demon. Spider-Boy was the worst.
Some of his comics were actually not bad, but it was kind of funny that he had a web gun. Like, he didn't have web shooters, he had a web gun.
Oh, it just gets worse from here. Then we had
I've read every one of these. Huh?
Hal Stark, Dr. Doomsday.
That was a weird one. It was a very intelligent Doomsday in a Dr. Doom armor.
Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep. Trying to remember who they mixed.
Lobo the Duck I'd probably want to read, though.
That was funny. And they did, they mixed Fantastic Four with Doom Patrol, I think. Or no, Challenges of Fantastic. That's what it was. Like they had so many weird crossovers, but when they did each issue, they played like you were just picking up an issue in the middle of a long run that had been going on for decades. So they didn't like go into origins and all that stuff. They would just kind of pick up, you'd read the issue and then move on.
I know the ones I've been waiting for a collection of because I really want to read them is the when DC and Looney Tunes partnered up, because there's one where Elmer Fudd is hunting Batman and he's very formidable. And I was just like, I watched a video of it and I was like, I want to own the whole series of this. It's amazing.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, they basically made all the Looney Tunes characters somewhat dark in some aspects, like how Elmer Fudd drinks to forget that he can't catch bugs and stuff. But then somebody offers him a ton of money to take down Batman. Mm-hmm. It's like my greatest hunt. And I was like, this is awesome.
That is terrifyingly dark. I don't.
I was like, please make a collection like you do all your other stuff, DC. I want that.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to find those now. I was
What did
not
they end
aware
up
that was a
doing?
thing.
Who did they end up crossing Hawkman with?
Ooh, damn it! I know there was a couple of them. Hold on, let me see here.
They did Dare the Terminator, which was Deathstroke and Daredevil.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird one.
Or the big question that's Riddler and Kingpin.
I want to say it was Angel from the X-Men. It was Angel Hawk. So you basically had two guys that had wings. They got a little lazy on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you want lazy? How about Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was an amalgamation of Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah, it was the male Captain Marvel and the other male Captain Marvel. Yeah. Oh, I think that just pulled that should have been pulled in as a joke. I don't remember if it was or not. It was like 10 or 15 issues, I think, back in the day that they did.
Or this. Hawkeye. That's Green Arrow and Hawkeye, but Green Arrow got erased, so it's Hawkeye.
It's just Hawkeye.
Yeah, they weren't the most creative sometimes. All right, let's move on to our next bit here. Then
definitely need to do better in this one, next one.
All right, so in a weird twist of fate, 2025 may go down as having Microsoft publishing more games on the PlayStation 5 than Sony itself. So while some games are still launching as console exclusive on Xbox, like Avowed, this is more and more becoming a rarity than the standard, with Sony's own recent State of Play events having had little from Sony and relied a lot on third-party titles. Steven, looks like you have something to add. Go ahead.
I also wanted to add, because that's what I was like, there's something I wanted to add to the news.
Yeah, go for it.
It was the fact that he said from now on, any other, I'm just going to call them Xbox Directs. He's now going to put the other systems in the trailers. He's like, I don't want to, I want you guys to know and be transparent. If it's coming to Switch 2 or if it's coming to PS5, I'm putting that on our trailers now. So
I'd rather them do that, and I think part of the annoyance has been
honesty is the best policy.
Well, part of it's been like you say one thing and then do another. Like if you're going to do it, just say it. Just put it out there and do it.
In the past, when E3 was super cutthroat, Sony would pay money just to make sure you do not mention Xbox when you show off this game. People will find out later, but at least for the beginning, we want people to think it's PlayStation only.
Well, like even with the State of Play we talked about last week, I had to go and hunt down every single trailer from the actual game makers, because all the ones from the PlayStation event never mentioned anything else. So it's coming to PC, Switch, Xbox, any of that. And most of the games were coming to other systems. I think they had maybe one or two that were only on PlayStation. Well,
I'm like, that sounds great, because then that's now two type of directs where I can get games for my Switch too. Nintendo Direct, Xbox Direct. I don't know
the developer directs. Well, they do different ones. They have developer directs
inside Xbox.
Xbox, yeah. ID at Xbox. They do with IGN every year. That's coming up soon.
Yeah, and then Sony just does State of Dismay. So it's like, all right.
But I get it. I'm still a little concerned with Microsoft's plan on doing this, basically becoming a third party. It's like what happened with the Dreamcast. If they made the sequel to the Dreamcast still, like just such a weird combination of events, but hey, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I still like my Xbox. I'm still going to play it. So whatever. But yeah. All right. Let's go on to our next little bit of not so happy news. So publisher NetEase has been seemingly closing ranks around itself, or somewhat imploding, in a bid to tighten the reins over development and outside support. So they recently laid off almost all of the North American development team around Marvel Rivals without warning, even after the game brought in $2.9 billion in the quarter that it launched alone, just for that one title. CEO reportedly did not want to pay Disney for the Marvel characters, but that was later disproven, that he didn't want to, that wasn't him trying to do that. I'm guessing somebody added that bit in there.
I did, because I heard a lot of that they were asking the artist to have derivatives drawn up, though.
Yeah, that I'd read part of that in there, but they had said like that was disproven, that it didn't actually happen. Bloomberg reported that NetEase founder and CEO William Ding has cut hundreds of jobs, closed studios, and taken a firmer hand with the company's Japanese teams by cutting additional funding, time, and stating they will have no plans to market or promote their games that they're making. And then GameFile came back with their own report stating that the company is looking to divest from, quote, the majority of its overseas teams, end quote, which could mess with over a dozen studios, including the fact that they purchased Grasshopper Manufacture in 2021 and Quantic Dreams in 2022. So whatever games they're working on, they may be losing funding, the development time they need to, and then not even getting marketing for their stuff anymore, because they've kind of purchased all these different companies or different development groups, and now they're just kind of shutting it down and going more of a Chinese centric for their own stuff. And yeah, not really a good look for
they're closing the ranks. Like, that's what always really bothers me, when like gaming companies will then buy other studios and stuff in the hopes that it's profitable, but then when you do that, which is, sometimes it saves a company, which is good. That's the good thing, that when that happens, if they get bought out, sometimes that's good.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think, and I don't know if this is exactly right, but in some cases it spreads everybody too thin. So then you're left with this situation where you're having to close ranks.
Well, it's not even a matter of them not making money. They're still making, like I said, Marvel
I'm
Rivals
sure they
alone
are,
is
but now
$2.9
they
billion.
want to make more money. So
well, the other problem is that they got a lot of these companies by promising that they'll have the money and development time, and they've purchased up all these things. So they're getting rid of the groups. They're keeping the games. So like they may have the library from like Grasshopper Interactive and even Quantic Dreams, to own their games, but then kick the developers out or run them out of business. And this was kind of the concern a lot of people had over these large groups buying up all these companies or making these offers, going like, oh, we'll give you all this stuff to come with us.
It's always a risk, like always, on multiple sides, both for the company buying another company and the company being bought. Like, there's so many different risks.
Well, they were also, they were promising some of these people to come from different companies that will let you make your own studios and do stuff, to then turn around and just kind of cut them off. And you're just like, why did you do that? Like,
I think we have a soundbite for this.
Corporate greed.
Thank you, Pass.
Well, I thought it was what the ass, man.
We have that as well.
That would work too.
What the ass, guys?
Yeah.
NetEase to all of its publishers.
Screw you, buddy. Because you got to remember, other than the studios, they also poached creators. So the Yakuza creators over there.
Yakuza creators, they got guys from Blizzard that worked on World of Warcraft.
Like one person said, they have talent from Call of Duty, Witcher 3, Remedy, Dragon Quest, Yakuza, Heavy Rain, Just Cause, Arc System Works, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and No More Heroes.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of talent that they're like, you guys aren't making games fast enough. Hurry up.
Well, some of them, like they only purchased them in like 2022 or 2021. That's only a couple of years to make the size of games they're trying to make. That is still a crunch. And, to then cut down on their time, the money, and the marketing is basically sending it to a death sentence if they're not one of their internal Chinese-based ones. So I'm curious how this is going to turn out, because I know a lot of the bread and butter has been the mobile game. So it's not like they're short on cash. They make so much money off these mobile games that I don't know. But it could potentially get worse with our next story. So Microsoft Research has announced Muse, a generative AI model for gameplay.
What in the hell does that mean?
I'll explain, and it's not going to be good. So they trained this model for Muse in a partnership with Xbox Game Studios' Ninja Theory and their multiplayer battle arena game Bleeding Edge, which I think already died. I don't even know if anyone's even playing that anymore. Basically, the way this tool works is they can have it design a world and the gameplay mechanics and be able to actually make a game by prompts and have it work, which is iffy on its own. Go ahead.
In the video presentation showing Bleeding Edge, all the videos were running on what seemed to be Game Boy Advance because they said they couldn't make it any bigger. It'd be too taxing on the hardware currently. to make it any bigger or 1080p or anything. So it was basically like 40p.
Mm-hmm.
But the big things they showed was that you could drag and drop like a character, an enemy, or an object, and it would suddenly appear in the game. Like, that's what's so amazing about this, is it's a shortcut to having to create the object in world or create the character
Assets, yeah.
in the game. You can just like you drag and drop, and suddenly it knows how to animate it from Muse.
Yeah, they're like I said, they're pushing to make playable real-time AI-based worlds, mechanics, and basically entire games that are AI generated. Other use they talk about including bringing older games from no longer supported hardware to modern systems, with AI generating the systems to operate and translate the gameplay. My issue, like they state, quote, "Today, countless classic games tied to aging hardware are no longer playable by most people. Thanks to this breakthrough, we are exploring the potential for Muse to take older back catalog games from our studios and optimize them for any device. We believe this could radically change how we preserve and experience classic games in the future and make them accessible to more players."
However, if anything has taught us why that doesn't work, it's Tomb Raider 4 through 6 remastered. With both the telephone wall and the fact that the game's darker for no apparent reason. Like, whatever you're putting the game through doesn't always work out better.
Well, I didn't include that one because it was coming up that may have been somebody messing with it and doing a joke as a texture, but it's kind of a proof of when they used AI to do it, what they fed it. So I couldn't verify that as being real.
The dark one was strictly a developer who's worked on other games saying, like, if this is what's in our remasters, no thanks. I can't see.
I do think, though, like, for this first paragraph, that sounds okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's a kind of a bit of preservation, a little more accessibility, and bringing it to a new market. But
my problem. Go ahead.
This is me playing devil's advocate here. I don't like AI in general. I think it should be used as a tool and a tool only. And then you should have a human go back and check behind it. Or vice versa, and then have a human go back and check again. But as much as I like the idea of it being a helpful tool of bringing older games onto newer consoles more quickly, I don't know that I don't know that this is sustainable, because eventually they can try this a few times and maybe it'll pump out a few good things, but eventually it won't.
Well, the only thing that will convince me of this is if they specifically take a game that has lost its source code.
Yes.
And they recreate it from that, not just reverse engineer it like they had to do Kingdom Hearts 2.
Mm-hmm.
If they lost the source code to that, it's like, come on, guys, where are you guys keeping them? Next to the Doctor Who tapes? Like, what are you doing? But anyway, they need to show us, like Panzer Dragoon Saga. They lost the source code. We're never getting a remaster of that game, and it needs it. But if they can show that Muse can do it, and it doesn't look like that horrible, what was that movie that was based on Daft Punk that did the music for, that anime movie that came out?
Oh, the 4K version, yeah.
It was heavily AI restored, and it was just bad.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I have that one on Blu-ray, because it's the original version. But so my main worry with this, especially when they're talking about we can preserve and experience classic games in the future, a person can do that, because even if they interpolate it, I look at it like, you've got art in the Louvre, and then you trying to share it with people that it's a version of the Louvre art, but in Lego form. Well, technically you've converted it over to a newer format, but even then, if a person did that, you're seeing that as a human creation of that variation. But if a computer does it, it's just going to be whatever the program is with no actual meaning. You're being able to preserve that is not something a computer can easily do, because they will very drastically change things that were never intended to be, or interpret something that might be off from what it initially was. And at what point are you still preserving it? Or are you just trying to cash in and make a new one without doing it? Like if you tried to bring in out of published books to preserve it, but you could randomly change the stuff inside the book. What are you preserving at that point?
Mm-hmm.
And
Like I
that's my
said,
worry.
Like I said, if they are using it as a tool and a tool only
Yeah.
to expedite a process, solve a problem like source code missing or
Mhm.
just completely gone, whatever. If you're using it as a tool and a tool only, and then you're still having a human being go back and check things and test things and make sure things work, where you're just using it as a tool, that is an acceptable use of AI. I
My
don't
only
know if this
Oh,
is
go
going to
ahead.
be an acceptable use of AI, but who knows?
Yeah,
One
my biggest go ahead.
So one indie developer everybody's been latching onto made something funny because in the lieu of the Nintendo seal of quality news, somebody made a different logo that they're like, we should put these on our games that promises there's no generative AI in our game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
And
that'd be
That would
great
lead me
like
towards
actually.
for seal of quality, but it was all like matrix green, and I was just like, that's hilarious, and it's probably going to be needed at some point.
Probably.
I mean, the God, who was it? The patent copyright, like whatever office that is,
Mhm.
Yeah.
literally put out a missive that said like a AI art or AI like writing, like it
Can it be copyrighted?
cannot be copyrighted.
Yep.
And
Because it wasn't made by a human.
exactly. And I was like, pop off, baby girl, let's go. So
I look at it this way: it's like, even if it's being used as a tool,
mhm.
like publishers and developers are using this as a way to just make cheaper work without actually having the skill necessary. If they can just pay someone whatever little bit amount of money to have an AI pop out whatever art there is, they may not have the ability or the skill of an artist to look at that and correct it. If someone as big and as much money as Rockstar makes can mess it up so bad with their own main 3 games and their own remake that are all butchered by AI upscaling, and even they didn't go back and check it, they will cut corners. That is inevitable. That is my concern. Same one you had.
It's really unfortunate. I think humans at their core are good.
We're cheap and lazy.
But I'm getting to that exactly. Like we're good. I think humans at their core are good. But I
Mhm.
also think that we are exceptionally lazy. And we want things done fast because
Agreed.
humanity is finite. Like we have an expiration date. So they want to cram as much of everything into their lives as they can, and if AI can make it go by faster, they're going to use it. And it sucks. It truly does suck.
It does. So, Chase, do you have any thoughts on this AI revolution from Microsoft at all?
Yeah, man, I don't know how much time you have.
As much as we want.
He's like,
Extra
I
quarter,
Mitchell's like,
AI.
I'm getting comfortable.
I could go all day.
So
I could do
have
this all day.
So I'll kind of go a little bit off topic because I actually had a conversation about this with my manager a while back at my
Sure,
actual
go for it.
work, and he was talking about how our job is the owner of the business, the company that I work for, actually stated that he wants to be one of the largest AI using companies in New Zealand. And one of the reasons why he wants to, and it's like the main reason why he wants to do it is because that way he doesn't, because the company's growing and expanding quite a bit, but they don't want to hire people to they don't want to hire people to do like accounting. They don't want to hire people to do like HR. They don't want to hire people to do, so what they're going to want to do is they're going to want AI to generate all this stuff for them and to do all this clerical work. I think
that's
that's
not a
where
good sign.
That's not good.
I think that's exactly what it's going to be. Because and I said the same thing to my manager. I said, well, I don't mind if they use it. I feel like AI should be used to make people's jobs easier rather than. And he's like, well, the minute you make somebody's job easier, then they're going to go turn around and be like, well, what do we need you for? What are we paying you all this money for? And he's got a point, in a sense. But I mean, I personally see it as, and so I kind of agree with I kind of agree with the first, like Rachel said, the first paragraph. You kind of read that and you're like, oh, okay, you know what? That sounds good.
Right.
It's all right because I do agree. There's going to be some of these older games aren't going to be made. You'll never. if you can make the argument, this is the only way that you're probably going to see some of these older games being like remade, because the problem is people don't want to take the time and the effort and the money to actually remake some of these older games. But if you can now have an AI tool that actually like makes it cheap enough that some of these companies will say, okay, now it's worth us actually remaking it, then that's where the argument's going to be. The problem is, though, is we live in an age where we can also do these things called updates and patches. So if something is wrong, they just have the idea of let's just patch it later. So that's what happened with like the GTA stuff. Is it looks terrible, and then somebody will be like, well, "Why did this happen?" Like, "Oh, I don't know." So then they'll just patch it later. Just fix it.
It's a crapshoot if we even get that patch. That's the problem.
But, what were you gonna say, Swan?
I was just saying, with all the AI, it's very important to make the distinction of where it's pulling from. And it's my belief that if they're going to have something like this, like say Microsoft with Muse, if it's pulling from their internal,
they said they're using their first party
coding,
games,
so to speak. Then that's fine.
Yeah,
because
it's all of their own stuff. Yeah.
Then that's a point in the pro column for me. But when they're like, it just pulls, then you're getting into like you're suddenly gonna like have an amalgam of ideas that are gonna suck, like Spider Boy. And you don't want these things to mix. People have been finding out one that's an interesting fact that I found out, but one is that you can look when you get an answer from say Google with their AI answers. You can sometimes see where the answer is from.
Yeah, you can see where
it came from. A lot of times the answer is from a post, not a somebody who did their homework or anything, just a post on X or just a post on Instagram that somebody said, I heard Mr. T can bench a car, and they're like, yes, Mr. T can bench a car when you search that on Google. And another person found out you can actually bypass the AI if you swear. So if you say, who is Christopher Reeve?
Who the fuck is Christopher Reeves?
Then it will give you AI. But if you say, who the fuck is Christopher Reeve? Or what's the fucking name of this movie? AI doesn't know how to process that, and it excludes from Google, and you get the regular Google results. And I thought that was hilarious that, again, it's not exactly, it's a workaround, but as we found through these generative AI models, you can corrupt it as well. I can't tell you how many of those that they saw that they corrupted that one bot from Microsoft to start, saying like all people should die. It's basically went rogue.
Yeah, how many times have like AI has gone through and like, Nazis
had one of those like
shit.
virtual AI therapists or AI girlfriends, whatever, tell another person to kill themselves when they were just like, I miss my family, and they're like, well, you should join them. And I was like, what is AI doing? And when I hear about it's taking jobs, I was like, you still need to have a chaperone. AI is like a kid on a field trip. If you don't have a chaperone, it shouldn't go.
Yeah, you are correct. That is a good.
You need somebody to put in line. And for some reason, for some reason, that's what the muskrat wanted in the beginning. Now he doesn't care anymore. But in the beginning, he wanted that. He's like, maybe there should be somebody looking into this. Now, if you look at it, I've told Chris the same thing, and he's getting off of it. The landscape that's on fire that we know as X now has it that as soon as an artist posts their work, right below it, they put a Grok prompt that says, make this art with Grok. So you can just instantly hit a button and copy an artist's work instantly. Or sometimes it takes the credit because Grok thinks it's AI, even though the person just painstakingly used their artist tools, and it'll say made by Grok. And they're like, no, it's not. So
this is part of the reason
AI is overstepping its boundaries pretty bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is part of the reason I redid and updated the website here this week, to add in some stuff and removed all hints, links, or anything tied to that hell site of X. So
yeah, I'm working on removing like my links because I just don't posts there anymore. I have my account like on lock, so you can't really follow. No one can really follow me. No
Yeah,
one can view my
I locked it
posts.
and put it on private because the final straw with even having any of that was people that you blocked are able to just see you and follow you and do whatever now, which completely defeats the point. That's like saying
Mhm.
you're not allowed to lock your house. Anyone can walk in, even if you don't want them there. And they're, you know, it could be dangerous to you.
The only
Oh,
reason I
and
still have it is because there's like people that I know overseas that don't have they don't have other social media accounts.
yeah, I have literally like one more account left, and I was like, all I need you to do, Blue Sky, is make it so I can get notifications on my phone, not through another person's extension, but through your own
Yeah.
program.
Right.
hmm
That I will get notified when they post.
I can't
And
wait till they do their proper they're doing something that's like Instagram as well.
So,
I need
so a
to set
funny
it
thing
up.
about Instagram, though, you got to watch out for is if you ever use their AI editor to
I
fix
don't.
your photos, it will and does take your likeness and use it in ads.
Nope.
Because
Nope.
people found their faces on ads promoting whatever they want them to.
Mm.
I was
Nope.
like, yikes.
Nope. I only use the normal like filters from like, way back yonder. So
Yeah.
no.
So the last thing on this story, just to clarify, Microsoft will make this available as a development tool to their first party teams, but thankfully will not make it a requirement for how each group uses it. So
I do
that
love how they're
is
like,
something.
oh, you have this, you can use it, but you don't have to.
Yeah, you can use it how you want to, which hopefully most developers won't go crazy with it. I can see it like as a prototyping tool and things like that. It makes sense. You want to see how something works and try that.
That is
Like
the
my
whole
job.
that
Oh,
is literally the whole purpose as to why AI was even created.
well, the whole
Is
purpose of AI is like what my job uses it for, which I won't go into
Mhm.
detail on that, but we use it to handle large data and parse
Yeah.
that out.
Yes.
That was its intent, not to make stupid pictures and things like that. And it's gotten so out of hand. How many people can't tell the difference between
Mhm.
AI and realistic stuff? And they keep, even when it's
Mhm.
obvious, they still post it over all that. And it's like, you guys are
Actually
just
got
stupid.
so bad that poor Adobe Illustrator, their files are named .ai. So people think it's AI when they see those files, and they're like, no, those are vector-based files for Adobe Illustrator.
Yeah, they're not helping themselves with
AI
how much
stands for
AI.
Adobe Illustrator. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're not helping themselves with how much AI crap they keep trying to shove into Photoshop and Lightroom and everything else. So I don't feel bad for them. They kind of did it to themselves at that point.
I'm just here with my OG 2019 copy that doesn't have anything or no further updates, and I just
Yeah,
use it
I
like,
wish
yeah,
they had a
it's great.
Lightroom like that. I'd be fine with it, but they don't.
Yeah.
Like, it's starting a renaissance that like Rachel touched on last week, and they said a lot more people are now going back to retro games because there's no updates, there's no online requirements, there's no AI. They're like, it's just quiet and just peaceful to play now.
Yeah.
No
Like
kidding.
I can't tell you the number of like one of my friends was like, well, what did you play this weekend? And I said, man, I booted up my GameCube and I played like this. And they said, oh man, that sounds so nice. And I go, it's great not being inundated by a bunch of different information. Like same thing with movies and books. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I want to take a step back. And
I finally figured out. Oh, quick update on this one. You guys remember the N64 I was rebuilding with the RGB and I kept having problems with it? Turns out it was the freaking power supply.
It's always the power supply, isn't it?
No, here's the thing. I rebuilt that sucker 3 times. It's the cleanest on the soldering work on everything inside. It's nicely redone. But I would hook it up and it would work for like a day and then it would start acting up and I thought something was grounding inside or whatever. Yeah, turns out it was the power supply, but I got that fixed. But Jennifer was hanging out with me and I've been introducing her to a bunch of older games and now she is in love playing and messing with Bomberman 64 and Bomberman Hero. Like she just loves those games and I've been showing them to her. And I was like, there is just kind of a nice fun of going back to the old like 64 and stuff like that.
Listen,
playing
it harkens back to a simpler time when
Back in my day.
I think life was a lot more joyful back then. So
It's just some stuff, yeah.
at least for me, but
I even took a picture on my phone when I was playing Mortal Kombat 1 for the first time, and the EULA popped up. You know that?
Yeah.
you
nice thing
hell yeah.
The
You have
end
to
user
scroll through
license
to
agreement.
accept. my screenshot says failed to download EULA documents. Please visit this website to view it. And I was like, but I can still accept it without reading it.
Of course.
I guess, I was like, I don't care, Mortal Kombat, but...
Oh, God. All right, so let's jump into the speed run.
Read real fast.
Oh, yeah. We got 5 little quick little things. I don't want to read that fast. It'd be kind of weird. 5 little stories here real quick. Magic the Gathering has announced an upcoming shared cinematic universe to start with a movie and include TV shows. Oddly, the Netflix animated series may not be part of this. That's already been announced and shown.
Huh. I wonder why.
They haven't confirmed if they're going to rewrite it to include it or if it's just got to be its own thing, but whatever.
Interesting, MTG. Interesting.
It's kind of fitting because we're getting one version of Magic the Gathering. Now a new one's coming out and the old movies / cards are not playable in this one. Moving on.
That tracks.
Yeah. Just go ahead and roll your eyes at that one, everybody. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick stated during a recent earnings call that the game company will be supporting the Switch 2. No titles were announced.
GTA 5 and 6.
Yeah, we don't know if it'll... Honestly, I want GTA 4 brought over. That was a fun game. So, next up, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 Remake could be announced on March 4th by an advertising date with a skateboarder popping up in a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 map.
I think it will now because there's a countdown website.
That's just such a funny way to do that, though.
When will Underground return from the war?
That's an awesome way of not saying anything and people find it out that way. Because if you notice, even the screenshot that was taken was so high res and professional looking that people are like, "You meant to do that."
When will Underground return from the war?
I hear you on Underground.
When Bam Margera gets in shape to be mocapped again.
The Tony Hawk I want to get back with an update and play again was the Tony Hawk on the DS. That was surprisingly well made, and I love the art style. Say what?
Downhill Jam?
No, God no. Fuck you. The first one they ever did online with on the DS. I'm trying to remember the exact name of it, but like I loved the kind of crunchy 3D effect they had on it, which was kind of fun for how the textures and everything were. And it surprisingly played great.
I just remember being at my my good friends and neighbors' house, the Julian, Jonathan, and Gentel, us playing Tony Hawk Underground on the PS2, and the mission out in the park where you had to collect the horribly like one-dimensional pink elephants for the crazy person. Yep.
So
I think what needs to come back is Tony Hawk Shred and Shaun White's skateboarding.
That too.
So the DS
talk
game
about an amalgam of Marvel and DC. How about skateboarding, snowboarding, and snowboarding, skateboarding?
Yep. Tony Hawk's American Skateland. That's what it was called. That's the one I want to see come back. That was such a great game. All right. NVIDIA has announced that the new 50 series GPUs will not support their PhysX physics system, which means that titles like Borderlands 2, the entire Batman Arkham series, and more will actually run worse on the 50 series than they do on the 40 series cards, simply because now they have to use the CPU and it'll tax it more because they don't support it.
Muse, we need your help.
Oh, no, we don't.
So it makes me wonder why they axed the support for that and why they sacrificed that and what replaced it.
AI is what replaced it. That's why I'm not happy with the 50 series.
It's the same reason that you find out you can't play certain mobile games because your operating system's too new now. So they just go away. Your older mobile games that are lost to time now.
That's so sad.
Which is funny because NVIDIA has been like supporting a bunch of their older setups for cards for a long time now. So it's just kind of weird that PhysX of all things just got dropped.
Well, I guess people got to buy different graphics cards than they're not NVIDIA.
This is the first one that makes me glad that my computer is a 4070 Ti because I do still play some of these games. It's like, cool, they'll run better on here now. Lastly, for the speed run, to celebrate its 35th anniversary, they randomly announced a Samurai Pizza Cats Blast from the Past game. With all the animation being hand-drawn, but nobody asked for this and no one expected to see it. It's cool.
It makes me wonder what they have the rights to, though, because the fox sounded off. from his original voice, and I don't know if they'll have the theme song. They better have the theme song.
It's games like this that would worry me because, like, depending on how the licenses were, this would be a situation that some company would try and use like AI voices to repeat, the old ones.
Because I don't know about you, and Chris agrees with me. Is the one of the I want to say one of the dings in the Cowabunga collection is the butchered Ninja Turtles theme song, where it's just like re-sang by somebody else, and I'm like, what is this? Why couldn't you get the rights to the original song?
I thought they had some of them, but they had a couple of the remakes. But yeah, that's
Like
always been a weird one.
They took out all the Turtle Power like actual singing because they had to put in just like the instrumentals, and they definitely took out the '80s theme and replaced it with this one that was sung by a bunch of guys who enunciate way too much.
Yeah, they took out all the Pizza Hut references.
Yeah.
All right, so let's finish up then with the big question. All right, so after the news of Samurai Pizza Cats kind of surprised us all out of there from left field, the question for this week is, if you could bring back any cartoon from your childhood as a surprise new game, what series would you have covered? And maybe what kind of game should it be? Steven, we're going to start with you this week.
Mine are a lot of surprises. First off is Captain N. I think it would need to be styled like the current Angry Video Game Nerd games, where it's going across either 8 or 16-bit tropes. But if Nintendo works on it, they can just put all their proper licenses, and Mega Man won't be green, stuff like that.
If we can get all those people in Smash Brothers, it should be able to do
as
Captain
a joke
N.
to everybody who hasn't seen a new game yet. They should bring back F-Zero GP Legend based on the anime series, but make it a new game. I don't have to say what style of game that will be unless you guys want it to be a first-person shooter. Then okay,
I was about to say shooter as a joke, but you beat me to it.
But one of those, like, you probably saw somebody do it already, but I think they would do it better, is if Capcom kind of went out of left field and said, hey, we're reviving the D&D beat-em-up engine, but we're using all the He-Man characters.
Well, you could also do She-Ra and all that, too.
Oh, she'd definitely be a character in there.
That, or Konami using the Turtles in Time engine to have like pixel renditions of these characters, it prints money.
He-Man, yeah, I'm definitely here for that.
The good way to do it.
Great.
The good way to do it is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and maybe Toxic Crusaders, but right now the worst way to do it is Wrath of Cobra. That game was a cash-in and is a really bad G.I. Joe beat 'em up.
That was terrible. All right, Chase, what about you?
I'm a pretty boring person.
We know.
For the big question. Well, just in general, but yeah, with the big question this week. So, actually,
you're so lively during game night, though.
Yeah, I get focused, man. Okay.
Yeah, he says nothing.
I get locked in, especially if it's like something like first-person shooter or something. I get locked in. But I kind of stole Jeremy's because I was like, oh yeah, I could actually see that one as like a really good one, and I did really enjoy it. The cartoon with SWAT Cats.
Such a good show.
It was a very good show. I'd like to see one like that. I mean, I guess you could make it in the same vein as Star Fox Adventures, which might be a little bit controversial for some people, but because a lot of people didn't like the fact that you get out of the ship. But
I think that would be a key point to it, though. I think it would work.
Just don't make it like No Man's Sky, because then no one will buy it.
Yeah, No Man's buy.
I think that game sold. I don't even know how many games that copies that thing is sold at this point. The joke still continues, but yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of stole that one from Jeremy because at first I was like, I don't think I'm going to have an answer for this. And then I was like, oh yeah, actually that's a really good answer.
It's like all of us have had to have watched cartoons of some point of our childhood. That's like a given.
Oh yeah, but I mean, to be fair, like when I'm thinking back to my childhood, I'm like, fuck, I think all of them have already been made into games. So I'm kind of like the worst person for this.
And they're good games, so you don't want another one.
Well, I'm about to say, yeah, just because a game was made, like if they brought it back, because I think there was a Samurai Pizza Cats game back in the day. That's like
it was Japan
Nintendo
only
one or whatever.
Yeah, it was Japan only, and it was based on the serious side of it.
Yeah,
but Darkwing Duck was a great NES game that played like a Mega Man meets Bionic Commando.
Yeah, I was going to get to that one. Rachel, what about you?
So like I watched the cartoons that I did watch when I was a kid already have pretty good games. Like I was big into Scooby-Doo, and I have not played a Scooby-Doo game that I didn't like so
Yeah, but
far.
wouldn't you love like a Scooby-Doo done like a Phoenix Wright, where you can do the mystery and
Well, that
try and
Genesis,
solve who it is, and
well, that's what the Genesis one is,
Yeah,
and that
that's
one's
what-
that
yeah.
one I want a sequel to
Really?
that so bad.
Yeah, the Genesis one. Yeah.
The
Holy
Genesis one plays like a point and click and has two
Mhm.
mysteries to solve, and
Mhm.
it's
Oh, crap.
amazing.
And the Game Boy Color Creep Capers one also kind of plays like a point and click adventure as well, and that one's actually very good.
I'll have to
So
check those out.
all of that, it's like, that's all the Scooby-Doo games are good. So I
Mhm.
just was like, I don't know. So I had to really think and dig deep and for some things here. I mean, y'all saw me. I was like staring off into space. I had to go run into the other room and look at my DVD collection
That
just
was
to get some
hilarious.
inspiration. But the first thing I thought of course, was the Beetlejuice animated series. And yes, I know we
Shocking.
got like Beetlejuice games, but they weren't great. Let's be honest. So I the B-Man, he's got a lot of interesting powers. He's, he can shapeshift. He's also disgusting. And in the animated series, it's a very bright and colorful series. And the Netherworld is a very, like, just odd looking place. So I think it would like lend very well as a 3D action platformer. I think it would be very fun, very collectathon. I think that like would
I
lend
would say give it to Tim Schafer to do the worlds for it.
honestly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mix Psychonauts with Beetlejuice, and you got a winning formula.
Yeah, like I
Oh,
think it
that would be dope.
I think it would be really good. But of course they won't do that unless we have a new animated Beetlejuice series. Will
And
we
it's
have
Warner
that?
Brothers.
I don't know. That's all in WB's like court now.
Yeah, we're talking Warner Brothers, the guys who DMCA claimed their own trailer for the Odyssey.
silly. But then I got to thinking, I said, well, what else did I watch as a kid? Like, what did I watch? Like, a lot, obsessively a lot. And then I was like, oh, My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away.
Mhm.
It's Ghibli stuff. And yeah, we did have a Ghibli RPG. We had Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, but that was
So
specific.
what?
That was more specific to that its own thing. It wasn't
Right,
really
but it
based on
was
a
still
particular.
but
Yeah,
it was still Ghibli, and there was a bunch of like Ghibli references in it to like
true.
actual Ghibli movies in it, which was great.
Just give these games to level 5.
Honestly. But Spirited Away, I think you could do like an RPG, like a sequel to the movie in an
Mhm.
RPG form. I think that'd be really cool because you would have like some bathhouse management stuff going on. You'd have some exploration stuff going on where you're exploring the spirit world, like all that kind of stuff. And then of course My Neighbor Totoro, if you guys have never watched that movie, it's very cozy, it's very good, and it's just cute. I played the Natsuman game. I don't know if you guys have played that one. It's like the 19
I saw it.
the 20th Century Summer Kid. It's
I'm not sure on that
got
one.
it's got some very like Ghibli, like old Ghibli vibes in terms of like you're a kid, it's summer, you've moved into this to this island area, and you're just going around like collecting bugs and doing little odd things, little odd adventures, and just experiencing life as a child. And I thought that as I was playing it, I was like, man, if this was like set in the world of My Neighbor Totoro, where it's like cozy slice of life, where you're just a kid going around doing like, I don't know, environmental like fun stuff with Totoro, like collecting seeds and planting them, and your mode of transportation, I think, for like between long stretches of like area would be
Mhm.
on the cat bus. Like there's it I think it would be very cute, and but I think it's unfortunate unless like someone did a very good job of convincing them to do this, it will never happen ever. So
Kind of feels like the cat bus. It reminds me of like getting into the airship in Final Fantasy VII. Like you should just be in this low poly world, hop into the cat bus, and just roam around. I don't know why. It just feels like that should be how it looks.
it's just
Nintendo, get on it. Animal
honestly
Crossing Elseworlds.
Oh God.
yeah.
All right. So for myself, starting off, of course, as Chase said, one of the ones I chose was SWAT Cats. And I was thinking kind of like a flying combat and an open world as well as a platformer. So like for the jet sequences, they could really lean heavily into like Ace Combat, nowadays with the way some of those things look. And then I do like your idea of like Star Fox Adventures, getting down to the ground, maybe run around the city or different spots. I think it would work out well. They could also just have mini games of managing the junkyard, like just for the hell of it. You could do plane customization. There's all kinds of different little vehicles and weird stuff they make. So that'd be a good one. Another one I would love to see is Batman Beyond. This one had terrible games, especially the N64 one. That one was not good. Game Boy Color wasn't much better.
What about that awesome looking costume in Arkham?
And that was neat. Like that, I've used that a lot, actually.
Big fat Beyond.
Well, that was supposed to be how Bruce kind of looked when he first had the suit, which worked out. But yeah, I'm used to much skinnier Terry McGinnis. But they should use more of a proper Arkham City style, but with that Neo Gotham, like the new setup for it. Because you could make such a large, expansive area now and use the kind of nice art style to it for the distance. You'd be able to use the flying car or fly around yourself with the Batmobile and everything. I think it would work well. But on the flip side to that, exact same gameplay style, but way funnier would be a new Darkwing Duck game.
That'd be cute.
Also being an Arkham City style game, but you're now running around as Darkwing Duck, having to deal, with Launchpad and Goslin and all of his rogues gallery, messing with stuff, would be the much more comedic take on this.
I do like, I haven't watched enough of it to understand all the new lore, but I would like if they even followed the new DuckTales version of Darkwing Duck and how he dealt with things, which I thought was great.
I watched some of the newer DuckTales. I don't remember getting to the point of where Darkwing was in there. So how did they change him in this one?
I think it's more that he doesn't want to hurt people and he's trying to be like, he doesn't think he's a hero. And then somebody actually, not a spoiler, but somebody actually poses as him and looks just like him.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be a creation of somebody else's, which gets all kinds of lore heavy, which is awesome.
Nice. I've heard nothing but good things about that show, so I need to finish it.
Yeah. But they could do Batman Beyond and call it Batman Beyond Kill the Suicide Squad, make it a full live service game with 7 seasons, and each season you get a different looking Batman. And
I love the fact
it's just oops, all Batmans.
I do find it funny. We actually did mess around with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and we all did not like it so much we never even mentioned it on the next show after we played it. It never came up. We're just like, nah, moving on.
So the opposite happened of what happened with Skull and Bones then, where you disliked it so much that you agreed never to speak of it. Whereas Skull and Bones was so bad we had to yell.
I was at least entertained while playing Suicide Squad. Skull and Bones, I was just like, I want my time back, because I was like, I could be eating ice cream right now, and instead I'm playing Skull and Bones.
I remember we tried that, and I was like, I keep dying. Nothing's happening.
Oh,
when I have to suffer to try to play co-op, and then I find out co-op doesn't work the way they fucking advertised it, then that leads me down the darkest path you can get to ever. It's just like, get your game out of the stratosphere.
All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up on that lovely hate note.
All right, forgive him.
Yeah, it was just a terrible, terrible game.
Like people would say Reese's,
I was waiting for that to come back up. I almost said it when she was saying Ghibli and Ghibli. I'm like, which is it? Is it Ghibli or Ghibli?
It's Ghibli.
I've heard
both.
It's
Ghibli. It's not Ghibli. Ghibli is
anyone
when
who says Ghibli, they need to go to check themselves into a hospital.
Yeah, Ghibli is like a little piece of a chicken that you eat. So yeah, no. If you want studio giblets, then go to KFC.
Oh, God. On that note, so you can find the podcast in an audio form wherever you listen to your shows, and the video version over on YouTube at our channel Zenspath COM. Both can easily be found over at zenspath.com/podcast as well. Which I have updated the entire website because apparently I forgot to change the website to be just zenspath.com/podcast for that section. So
leading people to the wrong place.
Well,
God only knows how long.
It was still going to zenspath.com Zenspath podcast. I had never updated it. I went, oh,
Mm.
hell. So
Oops.
that's been fixed. I also added it where now not only does it show the latest YouTube version and our shorts, but it also shows the Apple Podcast link for our playlist there and the Libsyn link all on the same page. So it's all there on any form you've got, or you can just look us up on your podcaster of choice and we will be there. Do us a favor, leave us a review if you can to help us grow. Like and share the show with others, and leave us a comment on YouTube. Tell us how you feel about the show and maybe your answer to the big question of this week. What cartoon from your childhood do you want to see come back as a video game, and what kind? You can talk to us directly over on our Discord as the easiest way to find us and chat with the latest news and happenings. The link for that is bit.ly/Zenspath Discord. That is also listed over at zenspath.com with all of our contact stuff there and other things, including like some stuff I had written on the blog part I need to keep working on. All right. Well, that has been episode 162 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Team Buzzies is back.
I'm not even sure what you just said.